Live.
Feel the burn. You should really feel the burn. I said to feel the burn. You need to feel the burn. We said to feel the burn. You better feel that burn. Let's go. I don't normally tell people how they should feel, but I felt this time I really had to say my spiel. Cause the fact that Bernie has a chance to win the race means a single voice can make reality of daydreams. I usually don't give a crap, but lately the messages that Bernie has asserted have made me. There's finally a politician who speaks truth and isn't in the pocket of the evil Lord Xenu. Why the hell we giving corporate tax breaks? The CEO just gonna spend it all on a fast steak, a beachfront crib he earned by making your back ache, on margins that exist because we set up for bad pay. And Hillary ain't gonna fix these issues, cause she won't rock the boat she got from the city group. She made her bed inside the corporate pocket, now she's grabbing rolls of quarters while she's riding the rocket. She's only even competing because she got a deeper purse. It's full of bio while she pot up quenching evil thirst. So if you're sick of presidential puppets, you should really love and covet that we get to feel the burn. Want your kid to go to college? Feel the burn. Without $100,000 deposit? Feel the burn. Sick of living hand to mouth? Feel the burn. While the rich are balling out? Feel the burn. Are you scared of gun violence? Feel the burn. And the subsequent riots? Feel the burn. Think it's ridiculous that prisons? Feel the burn. Are a private owned business? Feel the burn. I usually don't politic, but this shit is ridiculous. You got a candidate this awesome and you're just gonna squander it? Just take a second and ponder it. If you want your children to be able to attend some good colleges where they don't need to worry if some crazy kid who bought a 9 rolls up in the classroom bowling like it's Columbine. I don't know about you, but I don't really want to die from an antiquated law that has clearly gone awry. It's just another factor in the overcrowded prison, so incarcerating children can't continue printing shillings. And now there is a candidate who will actually change this, and you are gonna vote for a woman who changes position just to make the people think she has learned? Screw that, feel the burn. Want your kid to go to college? Feel the burn. Without $100,000 deposit? Feel the burn. Sick of living hand to mouth? Feel the burn. While the rich are balling out? Feel the burn. Are you scared of gun violence? Feel the burn. And the subsequent riots? Feel the burn. Think it's ridiculous that prisons? Feel the burn. Are a private owned business? Feel the burn. Do you want a president who states the truth with consistency since '82? Vote Bernie. Do you want the NSA to spy on me, or you wanna have a little bit of privacy? Vote Bernie. Would you like to be able to get some health care? Do you wanna stop having to live on welfare? Vote Bernie. Do you wanna put an end to the war on drugs and eliminate the need for the corner thugs? Vote Bernie. Do you wanna stay oppressed by the Federal Reserve? Would you rather get the money that you very well deserve? Vote Bernie. Do you wanna leave the world in the broken form it's in, or would you rather reform it for your kids? Vote Bernie. 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 Vote Bernie.
All right, hello and welcome to Project Sanity. I'm your host, Richard, aka Progressive Greens, and with me today is going to be DC, Dave Coennen, in for Nis, who's feeling ill, possibly some food poisoning or something along those lines. But I just want to let you know that despite that, we do still have a great show planned for you today. We're going to be obviously talking about what everybody is probably talking about, which is Sanders versus Trump debate, whether it's going to happen, what the latest info is, what Trump's expecting, and all of that. We're also going to be going to D.C., who's going to give us some information from out in California. He went to an event at UCLA, and he's got some great footage with Nina and Rosario. And also, we're going to be discussing what I saw at the Washington Congressional District Caucus that happened over the last weekend, where we elected which delegates we were going to send to the National Convention to represent Bernie supporters from Washington. And there's some great people and some great footage, so I look forward to showing you guys that. We were a little behind due to some technical issues, due to some planning for tonight, so thank you all for still joining us, and I just want to let you know that we're going to be with you for our normal time, and we're going to do the best we can to give you the best content we have. On that note, I'm just going to go ahead and let DC introduce himself for those of you who might not have seen him on one of our earlier shows. Go ahead, DC.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Dave Coennen, DC, with you here. Feel the Burn TV, and brand new member of Project Sanity and the Progressive Army Network. Really happy to be here and contributing to the progressive news and stories and issues that are on the top of our agenda here in Southern California. And of course, following Bernie Sanders and his candidacy and his campaign all the way through June and beyond, and taking his agenda and his progressive new progressive Congress, hopefully, is what we're all working on to get the Democrats and this country back on track for the working people of this country. And really happy to be here. I'm sorry Nis is not feeling well, but thanks for inviting me to join in today and sit in the seat with you today and talk about some of the news that's going on all around the nation. Big news day as far as politics go. Lots of it, like we were saying earlier, lots of other stuff going on too, but big news in politics. And yeah, we're going to look at what was going on with the campaign here this week. Last Sunday, I was fortunate enough to get to a forum at UCLA, the Rock the Campus forum with Nina Turner, of course, Rosario Dawson, Representative Tulsi Gabbard of Hawaii, and Shailene Woodley, an actress here, an activist, another activist here. Then there was a very powerful panel at UCLA, smaller crowd, but it was a lot of good information. I've got a few clips to share with you, and everybody can watch the full thing. I try to stream live when I can, and I'm at feeltheburn.tv at YouTube, and on Twitter at Feel the Burn TV, and also on Facebook. So great to be here and part of the Progressive Army and here on Project Sanity today.
Well, we're definitely very thankful to have you here, and I'm glad that you were able to give us a spotlight to what you were able to capture out there in California. And I look forward to showing that. Before we get to that, I did just want to go ahead and recap some of the headlines that have been going on around. And this is just some of them. I'm sure me and Dave are going to go ahead and get into some more momentarily. So let me just get us set up here. All right. And so one of the headlines that I wanted to mention is before the debate, we have Bernie Sanders is going to be on TYT 3 p.m. tomorrow. So mark your calendars. Make sure to tune in. Watch. That's Pacific time, by the way, 3 p.m. Pacific time. So check it out if you have a chance. And so other than that, I wanted to mention some people might already be aware, but the Intercept's done some great reporting by Zaid Jelani and Li Fang about who Hillary and Debbie Wasserman Schultz are putting on the party platform rule committee or party platform committee at the DNC convention. And there's a couple, at least a couple people that work for an investment group, and it's the name of the group I want to say was, where did I have it here? Stonebridge International, and it was built or it was a combination project that came out of Madeline Albright's consulting company and a defense contractor, and so it's the type of things that I think you're going to see in some of the stuff I'm going to show you from my congressional district caucus, the types of things that concerns a lot of people on the left about Hillary Clinton and what her foreign policy means for America in the future if she were to get elected. And so seeing that not only is it going to happen, or not only are we thinking that it's going to happen in policy down the road, but we're already seeing the impression of it on the committee at the DNC. Also for the planning committee, the person that is, there's also more great reporting over at the Intercept about the person that's basically holding the purse strings for the DNC convention is also essentially a lobbyist and with deep corporate connections, and that there's going to be corporate connections both at the convention and throughout a Hillary Clinton administration that I think is troublesome if the name that was associated with those corporations wasn't Clinton or Hillary, but instead Bush or another Republican name. And so I think that liberals and people on the left in general have a general unease, and it hasn't been discussed at length, but I think that there's something there. And so I really wanted to make sure that people are aware of that. So go ahead and check out the Intercept and look at the reporting on what's going on with the DNC convention and the planning there. Also, one of the headlines that, as DC alluded to earlier, that may not have been getting as much attention. There was a great article out of truthout.org about students with nowhere to stay and that homelessness on college campuses. And so while we're talking about free college and the things that Bernie's talking about and supporting, uh, I wanted to mention that at college there's also other challenges besides tuition, that there's folks that are working hard at trying to get educated, and that they're in situations where they don't have a home. And one of the things that's pointed out in the article is that a lot of college students don't recognize that they're technically homeless, or that they're basically homeless, because they essentially couch surf from one place to the next. And so that's actually, they say that there's at least about 58,000 students that are homeless, but they think that that's a dramatically underreported or understated number, that it's actually much higher. And so on that note, I just wanted to say that. And also I wanted to mention that today is Red Nose Day. And so for those of you who aren't familiar, or have just seen some random videos and don't quite get what's going on with Red Nose, I wanted to give just a basic idea of what it is. It's a part of Comic Relief Inc. Comic Relief, yeah. It's a 501 or not corporation, excuse me, group that tries to relieve poverty around the country and around the world. And they have things like what we're seeing today with the Red Nose event that will be on later on tonight, regarding having celebrities come out and basically have people have some fun, to both bring attention and to bring some money in to help alleviate global poverty. And I know in America, Bernie has been talking a lot about the poverty that we face, and so I feel like people are pretty familiar with that, but I did want to mention some of the statistics that are out there regarding global poverty. And one of the issues that we find is that a lot of the studies are old, because it takes a lot of money to study poverty, and it's a lot easier to get commercial funding for, BuzzFeed to do research to find out which listicle people are most likely to click on, than it is to get money to do research on poverty and the negative effects that it has on people. But some of the statistics that are out there that I wanted to mention, and you can find them at World there's a World Poverty Institute, and I think there's another website that I'll get for you guys later. I scrambled today to get everything lined up, so I apologize if we're a bit scrambled. I'm just trying to make sure that we still get as much of a great show out there for you folks as we can with the short planning period that we had. But anyway, some of the poverty statistics that we had out there. The poorest 40% of the world's population account for 5% of the global income, and the richest 20% accounts for 3/4 of the world's income. And so when we hear Bernie talking about the poverty rates in America, that those statistics either hold steady or get worse when we apply them at global levels. And what poverty means to people, I'm sure anybody who's lived through any sort of stretch of poverty has an idea of what poverty feels like in everyday life. But the extreme poverty that the Red Nose Foundation, or the Red Nose event, and the Comic Foundation is trying to alleviate and trying to address, according to UNICEF, 22,000 children. 22,000 children. That's brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews, all that. 22,000 children die each day due to poverty. Each day. 22,000 children. That's the kind of now that's UNICEF, and they're a reasonably reputable group, and let's just say that that's an overestimation, and let's presume that it's actually lower than that. You have to get a lot lower than that before that stops being a horrific and tragic and devastating figure. That so many children, through no fault of their own, children aren't impoverished because they don't have a good work ethic. 22,000, or let's just say 2,000, to dramatically reduce it. 2,000 children that, through no fault of their own, are dying from poverty is a tragedy, and that it takes something like a Red Nose Day just to get it into some headlines and to get some attention is to me is another tragedy. But I think what I'd like to see people do, they don't necessarily need to contribute to the Red Nose group. They can just find a charity that deals with poverty, preferably, but just any charity that is a cause that you support. Please take this time, take this moment to to reach out to them and to show your support in whatever way you can. If you can't donate, just support in whatever ways you can. So that, and just a few more statistics I wanted to mention on poverty, just for people to really get help folks, and I'm sure most people here probably have it, but just to remind folks of what poverty looks like around the world, that 27 to 28% of all children in developing countries are estimated to be underweight or stunted. So if they don't die, then they're still going to be, their growth is going to be stunted. And that doesn't just mean physical growth. When you're not getting proper nutrition as a child, that stunts your developmental growth for your brain as well. And so, as we're familiar with the kids in Flint with their lead poisoning, the types of effects that stunting development of the brain at the early stages and vulnerable stages for these children is devastating. So to know that 27 to 28% in developing countries are living through that every day, it just means that we need to step up and do more. And so even if it's what you're doing is trying to donate to Bernie Sanders in order to get people so that we can give him the platform so that he can help bring both our nation's plights but also global plights to people's attention, and realize that our community isn't one of a small city or town or house, but one of an entire globe, and that we need to look out for all of each other. And one of the statistics that really reminds me of is that according to, and I want to make sure that I get this right, let's see here. According to the State of the World issue 287, and this is back from 1990 from 1997, but they were saying that less than 1% of the world spent excuse me, I'll just say it again. With less than 1% of what the world spends on weapons every year, we could put every child into school. And we didn't do it. We knew that back in 1997, that if we just took 1% if we could get the world to agree that we should spend 1% less on weapons of war about fighting each other, we could educate all of our children. And let's just say that those statistics aren't precise. It gives you an idea of how much more interested we are in fighting with each other from the national heads of state level than we are with educating our youth so that we can actually be a functional democracy both within America, and we can bring the democratic ideals of people being represented by their leaders around the world in a positive way, and not in one that's viewed as dropping democracy bombs on innocent people, which again is going to get highlighted later. And so I just really wanted to drill that. So sorry if I went on a little long on poverty, but thank you for paying attention and sticking with us. And so the next thing on our list is we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to take a look. I don't know if Dave has the chat open, but I'm taking a look at chat now and just see what's going on with everybody. Dave, were you able to keep an eye on chat at all? Got you. There we go.
Hey, there we are. Yeah, the people are just starting to make some comments in chat about poverty and the conversation we're starting to have. So I will definitely stay on top of here and see what folks have to say. If you got something to say about what Richard was just talking about, it's pretty unfathomable that those numbers. And we're pretty fortunate here in the United States that we don't, for the most of us, as far as the mainstream and the establishment would like to keep people, the most of us, at least the voting population, just happy enough, not in enough pain to really do anything. And, we're really living high on the hog here in the United States when you look at it in a global perspective. And those numbers really sort of bring that all, back home but expand it to a level that's, we don't really understand about global poverty on certain levels. And those numbers really just enforce that. And yeah, Red Nose Day, comedy, at least comedy, you can use comedy to bring these issues to the front. So I think they'll continue to do it as long as people are starving. And unfortunately, we're going to make more people. So we better figure this out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that comedy, it's one of the few ways that you can get it into the national media where people are willing to digest as long as it's funny. You know, if
Right.
we intermix the atrociousness of what's happening about how a handful of people are living in opulent wealth that we can barely imagine, and there's basically a magazine dedicated just to show people how to imitate the type of opulent wealth that they're actually talking about, because the wealthiest of the wealthy don't even give them access to the types of things that they actually have, for fear that it might stir up too much animosity towards the insane, inordinate amounts of their wealth, and the lavishness with which they use it in some cases. And so I think that I'm glad that it's Red Nose Day is bringing it to some people's attention.
Indeed.
I wish George Carlin or comedians like that could be there to put a little sting on it.
Yeah, I don't know. Did Jon Stewart do anything today? Maybe he definitely retired a year too early. So
Yeah, that's a voice that every time I do hear him speak, I'm glad. It makes me miss him that much more and wish he was more active. But I totally understand, and from my interpretation of how the tone of how he's talked since he's left Comedy Central is that while he seemed to have almost total complete creative control over the Daily Show, it seemed as though either he was appealing to an audience or something else, in which he wasn't truly expressing what he really thought in a lot of ways.
right. The last interview he did, I forget where it was, but he recently did an interview, and they focused on what he was talking about with Trump, but he really nailed Clinton pretty good in that interview too, and I don't think they really focused on that. But yeah, he's in a place now, I think, where he can step outside that contained bubble that he was in and really start to make a difference. Maybe he'll get into politics. It worked for Al Franken. Who knows? To go back to the YouTube comments, Billy Cruz in 69. If people realize that it's rich versus poor in America and politicians pander to it, they may fight the right people, vote out incumbents. And that, I think, is really key. These incumbents are so ingrained as far as with gerrymandering, and with, if there's nobody going up against somebody in your district, go up against them. Why not? And this brand new Congress movement is going to target every race. And you guys are talking about it on the Progressive Army, and this is I think part of the revolution. Donald Trump isn't the revolution. Bernie Sanders really is the revolution, and it's what comes after Bernie Sanders, whether he's in office or not. And we're starting to see that with these groups that are working on down tickets and changing things. Debbie doesn't, they're saying Debbie really doesn't want her job down in Florida anymore because she's going to end up with a nice job in the Clinton administration. So she's not too worried about it. But, with the shenanigans that are going on, what you refer to in the headlines, with the placing of committees, at least Bernie's got Cornell in there. That's going to be, I'd love to be a fly on that committee room wall with Cornel West in there. It's we'll see if they're gonna sacrifice Debbie, and is that really going to, David, and we were talking with David earlier before the show in the green room, what's that gonna do to the Bernie supporters? Is that gonna do anything? Is that gonna change the way, are we gonna suck it up and vote for Hillary after that? So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I uploaded a second clip, if we get to it, with Tulsi Gabbard from the UCLA event. And she talks about, she was the vice chair over the DNC. Right after she got elected, they wanted to put her on as vice chair. She's like, what's that? And so she got involved with getting people involved in the party and, bringing new people in, and was all into it. And then when Bernie got nominated, things started to change, and she ended up stepping down. So there was a little clip from her talking about that and why she went on to support Bernie Sanders and fight the DNC. So this isn't over with that, for sure, with the convention. As Bernie would say, it might get messy.
Nice.
But
all right,
democracy is messy.
Yeah, I'll definitely take a look at that, see if I can't get that up for us. And,
yeah, no worries.
And